Alright, Salakia. So back here it says, ultimately influencing the masses through famous personalities whose first one is necessary to portray the dignity of the person in the form of the mass instinctively requires a person who will become a symbol. So he considers all this as an instrument that is like an invisible government of people whose people most of us have never seen, and these people carefully study the target audience, divide the society into groups, and for each of the groups choose their leader with their opinion. They are selected in accordance with criteria such as ability to create characters that can cause a reaction to the target audience, ability to analyze these reactions, the ability to find in the public mind those stereotypes that will bring the desired reaction, as well as speaking skills in the language of the audience. These abilities allow a specialist to easily manipulate a group and model the consciousness and members. Since our actions are most often the result of our emotions and desires, and this is why the scriptures say, look, this is why the scriptures are they're the river of life, man. They teach you how to not only serve the Most High, but how to move, man, how to be, how to control your own spirit. All right, Proverbs 25 and 28. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls. Right, so you gotta rule your own spirit, man, and you gotta rule. That includes your emotions, man. Okay, that includes your emotions, feelings that you have in the moment, right? Things that you're feeling in the moment, and how to not mute that, because you're gonna feel it, right? You're carnal, you're a person. You're gonna feel these things, right? But you gotta learn how to go through it and not act upon those emotions. You just gotta go through it. You gotta take it. There's nothing wrong with heartbreak, for men. Yeah, men go through heartbreak, right? Even if you're a macho man, you're a macho so-called man, a man's a man, you're gonna go through heartbreak. But you got men that really bug out on that, right? Men that really just bug out, through not controlling themselves on that level. This is Proverbs 18:21. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. Right? And that can go either left or right hand. You can tell somebody to fuck off, go fuck yourself, in this kingdom, and they can pull out a gun, and that's the great equalizer, as they call it. Right? That's it. That's that. So you got to be mindful, especially in these times, what comes out of your mouth. Proverbs 21:23. Whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles. Even with your woman, man, sometimes it's just good to just shut up and just leave. All that arguing, all that foolishness. You're not supposed to argue with a woman. I'm just saying, in the heat of the moment, sometimes you say shit and you learn from those mistakes, right? But as you age in this truth, and you age in life, you understand, look, it's just better to shut up and just go, and that really pisses off the person even more. Anyway, it says Edward Bernays concludes that since a person makes decisions mainly on the subconscious level, it is necessary to act on the subconscious, on the basis of which he gives characteristics of the impact of the new propaganda, such as systematic long-term exposure approach. For decades, man. Decades have they been pushing things on your subconscious through TVs, TV shows, and movies, right? Changes in each effect is initiated not only in information but also in the real world, right? Each action requires the following action to show the effect. Now that part about changes in each effect is initiated not only in information but also in the real world, man. So that's, going into predictive programming where they can show you things inside the movie, and then a year, 5 years, 10 years, you'll start seeing these things play out, and it'll seem normal to you. Oh, this is just normal, but you've already seen it, and you may have not even recognized it in the movie. As this person Edward Bernays says, your subconscious picked it up, so then it's smoother landings when it actually happens in the real life, real world. Smoother landings, it's not a shock. There's no shock factor, so to speak. This man has studied, and as I said, they accomplished a diligent search, man. Right? Damn, hold on. Let me get, it's in the book of Psalms. Psalms 64:6. They search out iniquities, they accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. Let's get that in the NLT. Right? As they plot their crimes, they say, we have devised the perfect plan. Yes, the human heart and mind are cunning. And cunning, you want to talk about cunning? Who's the most cunning beast on the planet? Esau. Right? You're the damn most subtle, cunning, nation, right? Because you're a deceivable nation. You're of the evil seed, right? So back here, it says the World War I significantly influenced the development of propaganda, and the parties actively used leaflets in the media, organized a campaign that affected the enemy, and also actively influenced his consciousness of the population. And it played a big role, as well as it was used in any conflict, whether military or civil. Propaganda is best described as official government communications intended to influence opinion. The information could be true or false, but carefully selected in terms of its impact. For example, propaganda was used to convince the population that military action was justified and that the country was on the good side, as well as to maintain the fighting spirit of their soldiers, to support military efforts, the government, and protect the civilian population. Propaganda was important at that time because it was one of the popular tools that was used during World War I to change the minds of the masses. And again, this whole World War I, II, at that time it mattered a lot, and it mattered in prophecy, of course. But when we talk about the macro of things, how to actually form society, how to shape the minds, how to instill ideals and beliefs in people, and then see that play out generations later, that's this devil, man, this mastermind of evilness, Dr. Evil, man. He got a doctorate in evil, okay? This man is a PhD in evil, right? He'll put those seeds and wait 2, 3, 4 generations. Yes, perfect. My minions have arrived. This man is in that, man. He's perfect in that shit. Okay, now let's go here. Let's go to the next article about Bernays. This is from AnswersInGenesis.org, the history of propaganda. And I'm going to jump down here. Born in 1891, Bernays was the close nephew of Sigmund Freud. Oh, and now you start finding out all these different guys, these illuminists and these lesser luminaries and occultists, they're all related even, right? The rather notorious psychologist whose unbiblical conjectures drove people to think about how unconscious processes may affect human conduct. Bernays, fascinated by Freud's ideas, wondered if he could exploit others' unconscious processes to influence public behavior and ultimately culture, right? And that's why when people talk about culture and this and the people, and look, man, you people are for the most part sheeple. You people are just base animals driven by your base lusts, man. Basic needs, and the lower self. You pretty much just serve your belly. I'm hungry, I'm horny, Oh man, I'm angry. Oh, this guy cut me off. Oh, I got my tickets. I'm going to concert next week. I'm going to Leafs game. Right? You people are just on that low level, man. So it's not hard to believe that your whole culture, your whole belief system is engineered, man. And it's quite frank, wicked, right? The foundations of your ideals and your beliefs is just wickedness. It's anti the Most High, pretty much, right? Because who's pushing it? Esau, right? In World War I, the U.S. Committee on Public Information hired Bernays to garner public war support, right? Meanwhile, the government channeled findings from psychology and sociology to develop new ways of shaping popular opinion about the war. These efforts produce an arsenal of techniques honed to manipulate public beliefs and behavior through propaganda. Like I've mentioned in previous posts, propaganda is a form of communication that persuades by appealing to something besides logic. According to one psychologist's 1943 definition, propaganda is a process which deliberately attempts through persuasion techniques to secure from the propagandee, before he can deliberately or deliberate freely, the responses desired by the propagandist. Bernays noticed that wartime propaganda techniques included harnessing the influence of authority figures, generating cliches, and creating emotional appeals. Could these same techniques apply to manipulating people's behavior after the war? Bernays believed so. Rebranding propaganda with the term public relations, he offered his powers of persuasion to the marketing world, and his methods largely succeeded, persuading the public. Take breakfast, for instance. In the 1920s, the Beechnut Company recruited Bernays to stoke consumers' appetite for bacon. Bernays' research team discovered that at the time, most Americans preferred a light breakfast: coffee, orange juice, and perhaps toast. Recognizing the power of authority figures, Bernays recruited a doctor to ask 5,000 other physicians whether they agreed that a heavier breakfast, say bacon and eggs, provided more energy. Bernays publicized the results in newspapers. Demand for bacon rose, and the campaign became a sizzling success. Unfortunately, not all Bernays' culture-shaping efforts were so benign. To increase tobacco consumption among women, for instance, Bernays linked smoking with women's rights by dubbing cigarettes torches of freedom. In his influential book entitled Propaganda, Bernays concluded, "Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government, which is the true ruling power of our country. We are governed, our minds molded, our tastes formed, our ideas suggested, largely by men we have never heard of, such as the bankers." And I was saying about World War I and II, I forgot to say this part. All wars are bankers' wars, man. So that was some just low-level sheeple activity, man. You people, oh yeah, World War I. Yeah, World War, we're the Allies. Yeah, we're fighting against the Nazis. Right? And now look how history is unfolding. All the messes coming out. Oh, Pearl Harbor, they attacked us. Pearl Harbor, yeah, they attacked us. We got to bomb. We bombed those fucking gooks, yeah. These devils, man. And that was all set up. Pearl Harbor. 9/11. What happened there? All right. And it says Bernays recognized the potential for propaganda to promote evil as well as good, but he didn't necessarily realize this would play out in his lifetime. After World War II, Bernays was shocked to learn that Hitler's propagandist, Joseph Goebbels, had relied on Bernays' technique to drive the Nazi campaign against the propaganda in education. While many propaganda messages we encounter endorse fairly neutral products like breakfast foods, other propaganda promotes unbiblical messages that undermine the gospel in society, like the idea that all humans are evolutionary byproducts rather than persons created in God's image. Types of propaganda I've seen promoting this message include textbook pictures that make apes look human-like, museum displays that make humans look ape-like, and classes where authoritative professors assert statements like intelligent design is a whacked-out Tea Party movement and there is not a single piece of evidence against evolution. Schools, in fact, are strategic centers for disseminating propaganda that Bernays wrote. The normal school should provide for the training of the educator to make him realize that his is a twofold job: education as a teacher and education as a propagandist. That's why it's so important for students and all Christians to be armed with biblical critical thinking tools. And by the way, right, I forget which president said that, Roosevelt or Churchill, but he said all that anybody needs, or he said that there's no higher education than that of the Bible, pretty much. And originally, in colleges, the Bible was the textbook, right? And that was pretty much removed, and the rest is history. So pretty much that was it on that. All right, and that just shows you, man, like how deep this man goes into this psychology, and how to warp the people's minds and move the people. All right, so double honors to the apostles of GMS who rule well and teach well. Shalom to the elect.